Okay. All right. So now we're on my personal page, and we'll see if things work better over here. So we just got to give Ron and Jesse a little while to get my invitation. All right. Looks good. Hey Ray. Hi Russell. We're just getting Ron see added to
I
camera feed.
Oh, okay. All right. I see what's going on. Okay.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, no, Ron, you just barely see what's going on. You're lucky you have that kid with you.
Yes. Oh, you're not kidding. I'll hold it.
We were trying. It was hard though.
Yeah, I'm so bad on. I mean, I'm actually good on computers to a certain point,
Yeah, right.
but the phones, I'm lost. I'll
Okay.
tell you, it stresses me out actually.
No
Yeah,
problem.
I don't know why I couldn't find it at first. I was looking right above his picture on the page, and I was getting frustrated. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
why isn't it there?
It might be I don't know. I can't answer for that, right? If I gotta do the official introduction, and then we'll
Okay.
all right.
Okay, go for it, man. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Right, welcome to today's show, episode number 9 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogue. So, my guests today are a guy that I've known for some years, but in all honesty, we don't move in the same circles all the time. So, this is a perfect example of something out there in the Jeet Kune Do world where people with very similar backgrounds and who are familiar with each other don't get the opportunity to learn that much about each other. So this is one of the reasons why I started the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues program, so that I and all the other Jeet Kune Do aficionados out there could get to know different people. So let me introduce you to Ron and Jesse James Kosakowski of Practical Self-Defense Training in Waterford, Connecticut. Did I get that right?
Waterbury, Connecticut.
Waterberg?
Waterbury, like berry.
Waterbury. What do I know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the warm area. So.
Okay. All right. So listen, in doing my research, right, this is the idea that I have about you, Ron. You are the white guy who is trained with Larry Hartzell, who makes trips to Mindanao to collect authentic Moro blades. What's wrong with that description? Anything?
The fact that I don't belong in Mindanao. I did almost, I'm not even exaggerating, we almost got killed down there one time.
Yeah.
And I trained the Special Action Force Commandos to, all they wanted to do is they wanted Kung Tao because they want their own indigenous style.
All right.
All I had to do was teach them Kung Tao and buy them meals, you know, and they drove me all over Mindanao. I'm writing a book on Kung Tao. So, yeah, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to interview a lot of the masters down there that are into Kung Tao. Now, I did come across some Marinao people, but the thing is, some of the people that I met, the younger people don't like, they're very radical, especially in this day and age, as you know what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's not everybody, like everybody generalizes, but there are some radicals. And we had such a problem. I had to gather my stuff up like 2 o'clock in the morning because they had lookouts. They saw a crowd coming towards where we were, and we had to get out there, and it looked like they buried the speedometer all the way over on some real rugged roads with this military vehicle that we're in.
Okay.
We had grenade launch.
Was Jesse on that trip?
No, he was not. He was little back then.
That's probably actually 8 or 7 when that happened.
Yeah.
All right. And so Jesse's made his professional MMA debut, but it's not in the UFC as yet, right?
Not yet.
No, not yet. I fought two pro fights so far. I just had my last fight May 4th, 2018, over at Mohegan Sun Arena,
Okay.
over in Uncasville, Connecticut. But I fought also, my pro debut was in January, so I have 2 fights in my name right now, 2 wins. But yeah, it's going
Jesse,
good.
tell me a little bit about how that works. I mean, is everybody's goal to get into the UFC? So everything that you're doing is designed to get you there?
Not everybody. Not everybody's made to be in the UFC. There's a lot of, I mean, if you look at the competition in the UFC now compared to maybe even 5 years ago, the level has gone from, to here to here. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good fighters in there now. So, like, for somebody to be considered UFC level, you have to be like a champ. You got to be championship level. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Not always necessarily. Not everybody makes it to be a champion, but you gotta be, top of the food chain. You know what I mean? That's how it is in the fight game. It's, you got to be top of the food chain. So, and that's what I'm working towards. I'm in contact with Bellator right now, trying to get into Bellator. I'm thinking, because Bellator is coming to Mohegan Sun in October, I'm thinking I might just go for that. I think that's the move. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Get a nice debut in Bellator and, take off, get a contract. Hopefully,
Right.
hopefully if that's the case. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, all right. Best of luck to you in that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Ron, I always like to find out from people a little bit about the reason why they named their school what they named it.
Okay.
So, Practical Self-Defense Training Center. I mean, look, that's pretty straightforward, right?
Yes.
But how come?
Okay, back in 1988, I opened up a school.
Okay.
Self-defense was the in thing now. Like nowadays, you have to name it. You have to give it an MMA name nowadays to be appropriate.
Right.
Now, but it's an old school. So in those days, self-defense, that's what everybody was looking for.
Yeah.
Even the early days of the internet. And I remember anybody looking for self-defense found my site on the internet right away, and it seemed to work for me back then. It is an awful long name now, and it's kind of outdated. However, we've been established for so long, it's like.
Does anybody ever try to make a joke about your initials and the PTSD?
Yes,
Yep.
all the time.
I was just going to say, people comment to me all the time. They're like, you going to the PTSD tonight?
I know.
Like, dude, come on. How do you not know the name? You've been here for like 10 years.
I know. Our own students, in other words, they say PTSD. I mean, it's like, come on, man.
Okay. All right. I got another question for you. We've been trying to put this thing together for a couple of weeks. And when I first spoke to you, Ron, you said, yeah, and I'd like my son to be in there. And here's what you said. You said he was raised the right way.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay. He's a good kid. All my kids are good kids. I mean, that's the thing. And, I'm old school. I'm open with my kids the way I raised them. That's one thing. He was raised as far as in the martial arts, literally raised in the martial arts, because he was at the school with me a lot. Even when he was little, he was playing with his toys after the kids' class was over and stuff like that, And
my G.I. Joes.
I'm very old school. You think about our teachers; they're old school. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. So and who they learned from, just their teachers were in the 1800s. A lot of them. So I taught them the old respectful ways of martial arts, which actually brings me to, I asked Eric Paulson, and I go like this, Eric, I said, he doesn't do all the mohawk and the tattoos saying, I'm number one, you're nothing, you're shit, you know what I mean? And so I said, is that a problem? I said, he's very humble the way he wins and everything. And Eric said, no, go on it. He says, we actually need that, in this day and age, we need somebody to look up to in the sports world. Because everybody's a thug, and
I think it comes down to really like the personality, you got to be your own personality.
Right.
You got guys like McGregor, I think is really, he's entertaining. He puts on, he puts fans in seats. And then you got guys like, a lot of these guys, there's other guys who try to talk and then they can't back it up. Like I saw Luke Rockhold, he was really making a big fuss, and then he couldn't back it up though, you got to be able to back up the talk. There's a lot of guys who make a certain image. You got that like GSP type image, which is more like that humble martial artist
humble,
type image, you know. And I like that. I think that's more like fitting to me as a person, as an individual.
Right.
But you also got to tell it like it is. You can't go in there not confident, you know, and say, oh, you know, this dude is so good. And like, you know, you got to know that you're going to destroy whoever's in front of you. You know, you got to have that killer instinct, that mentality.
An enemy is the enemy. I mean, at that point, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jesse, what it meant to be raised the right way. What did that mean to you?
Well, like, I think that there's a lot of kids my age that don't know what they're going to do in life. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them that they grow up not knowing what they're going to do. And, like, from an early age, working with my dad, you know, and then having, like, a good family behind me that supports me, that, you know, wants me to do the best of what I do. They supported me saying, you know, I want to be a professional fighter. You know what I mean? Because I had a lot of people in school that would, you know, even teachers, you know what I mean? I would tell them what I'm going to do. And, you know, they'd believe it, but they'd be like, you know, you could tell that there was like a little doubt in them. They're like, oh, I don't know if that's going to, you know, really work out. Maybe you should, you know, have something as a plan B or a plan C or whatever. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, this is what I want to do. You know, I want to go all the way with what I love to do. And that's martial arts, is fighting. You know, there's something about stepping in that cage where I just feel at home, you know?
Yeah.
You think about it, even owning a martial arts school, how many people say, really, that's what you do for a living?
Yeah.
You think about it. Like, martial arts doesn't look like a job to people, you know?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of work. You know what I mean? You gotta be made for it.
Okay. All right. So Ron, on the website, right? I was looking today at how you have I think it's 4 or 5 columns with the name of the martial art method and then the description under it. So I'm going to go through the 5 columns and you tell me your history and background. So at the far left is Filipino Kune. So
okay.
Give me the history, background, your history and background in Kune.
Okay, in 1976 or 77, I met this guy, Joe Rossi, and well, a friend brought me down there. You know, I was like 17 years old, and so I was into Tung Sudo before that. And I used to do a lot of point fighting. And what had happened is he kept saying, why don't you come down to my school? He goes, it's completely different. And he actually tried for a few years, actually. And finally, he got me to go down there. And I was, the way you know me now, I was a different person back then. I was kind of a street kid, if you want to call it thug, they call it nowadays. You know, I was one of those types, fighting all the time, everything, you know. And I doubted Joe Rossi's movements. I asked him if I could put him into something, and I put him into it, and he slammed me down like I was nothing.
Wow.
And I did it a second time, and he slammed me down like I was nothing, put his foot on the back of my head, had my fingers bent backwards, and you know, while I was on the ground, in other words. And when I got up, I go, where could I join?
Right.
You know, I said, I'm ready. And I stuck with him for 25 years till his death.
Wow.
And I was with him 5 to 7 days a week, and traveled with him, did everything with him. It was, in fact, you know, in those days, it was hard to find Silat or anything like that, which Kung Tao is just another dialect of Silat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So it was hard to find, and man, it was the ultimate. And this guy was the real deal. You know, to explain Joe Rossi, he's had to use it, you know.
Okay.
So it was a good person to learn from.
All right.
You know.
To the right of the Filipino Kune Tao symbol is the Jeet Kune Do symbol. Background and history.
Okay. Well, I'm certified under our teacher, Guru Dan, Larry Hartzell, and Paul Vunak.
Okay.
And I've trained with many of the other original guys, just because there's so many varied opinions in there. I wanted to see what those opinions are. Because I've done that, I feel I have a very good, vast background in in Jeet Kune Do because of what's going on. Because, like I said, they have their varied opinions. Something that works for me might not work for you. In other words, I mean, we know all that story.
Right.
And so I saw by seeing what everybody's opinion is, I feel something to offer any student of any size or age, for that matter. You know, that's the way I feel. You know, and I don't know. I spent a lot of time with Larry Hartzell. I've spent a lot of time at his house, training with him privately.
Right.
I used to have him twice a year at my school, and we always spent sometimes Monday and the Friday doing private lessons because I wanted his whole method.
Yeah.
And boy, that man had a lot to offer. You know what I mean? He's, you know, the treasure chest of knowledge is it's self-explanatory when you work with him.
That's Jesse. That's how you got prepared for what you're doing now. Through
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Through all like the work that he's done, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been working with him basically my whole life, you know what I mean? So I've got a lot of knowledge from all these different styles that he was able to learn over the years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So obviously, you know, I got to give credit to the pops right here. That's where it's from. I mean,
who else has brought out
big purpose? What?
Who else has your dad brought out to the Academy for seminars?
Who else have you brought for seminars?
Leo Gahe, the Gracie family.
The thing is, I never really got to work with a lot of people at his gym, but we go to Jeet Kune Do seminars. Like we worked with Steve Golden. I've worked with catch wrestlers like Mike Martell.
Okay.
We travel all the time to go work. We go to Eric Paulson's seminars. Eric Paulson's a huge name in grappling in Jeet Kune Do, the Jeet Kune Do world, and the MMA world in general. So we travel a lot and work with all these different people to get different ideas, different looks. I train. I do a lot of. I contribute a lot of my success to my strength conditioning, like even aside from martial arts. You know what I mean? Because I think conditioning is the biggest aspect of the sport. You know what I mean? If you're not conditioned, you're not even going to be able to last. If you're not going to be able to pull off a lot of the technique. So the training that I do with him, it's based off of a lot of conditioning. You know, we're not practicing one kick, you know, like each kick like 10 times. We're practicing one kick like 10,000 times, you know.
Right.
That quote by Bruce Lee, you know what I mean? I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times rather than 10,000 kicks once. You know, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
I actually take I mean, just to evolve on the Jeet Kune Do, and people will probably look at this and already be turned off, but that's the way it is.
What are they?
I do the Kune Tao kick training methods that predate equipment. Okay, they have to do something for the power, right?
Right.
So these kick training methods are what he's been working on, and believe me, this kid could do a 3-hour workout. I think 40 minutes, and he was dying of this.
And that's all a workout should be anyway, you know.
But I adapt the Jeet Kune Do method within the kick training methods.
Okay.
See. And what had happened is, like, you know, and I'm telling you, his kicks. I think the next fight we're going to see something that's going to impress the hell out of you.
Well, you got to get that book and the video series out.
Yes, I do. Yes, I've been working on that book for a long time.
Right.
Video series. I don't know if I'll have time to make one, but.
Right. So we keep moving to the right. Integrated grappling systems.
Okay, that's easy. I started off with Sifu Larry in his catch wrestling and Shuto and Dumag blend that he used to do.
Okay.
And like we all did back in the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he kept evolving and learning more too. So I went out on my own. I probably trained for with just about everybody, the older crowd in the Gracie family. A bunch of other Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys also. Yeah. I also went to judo, and I did judo pretty much full time, privately, semi-privately, and through the classes for like 7 years. I went fanatic with it because I found judo. It blew my mind because that's a hell of a style. I know people think it's weak. I don't know why. You could kill somebody with that style. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in judo under two people, Sid Kelly and John Pereira are my two major teachers. John Pereira was my major instructor in there. He's a judo champion. He's from Brazil, and incidentally.
Wow.
I worked with George Medi, who some of the Gracie family went to back when they were in Brazil.
Okay.
You know, this guy is unbelievable. George Medi, he knows the leg lock and the old school. He's in his 90s now, but he knows the old school methods of judo, which people don't see anymore. Sweet. Like the leg locking, for example. And I couldn't believe he was showing me leg locking. I say, wow, this is stuff I'm doing with Larry at the time. And it's pretty much similar, a slightly different approach off the judo throws itself.
Okay.
You know?
Got it.
So there's a lot of grapple. I must have had, I don't even know. I got to count. It could be like 27 to 30 different grappling instructors I've worked with over the years.
Wow.
You know, without exaggerating.
Yeah.
I was nuts. All that I put into it, I'm so broken down from a couple of car accidents. I got a blown out elbow. I lost a lot of muscle from a car accident. My lower back is bad from a car accident. I can't even grapple anymore. I'll grapple with him. I've got another student, Fabio, I do it with, but they Tai Chi grapple with me, and they know what's going on. So this way I can maintain that part of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't go haul out and have some 21-year-old
wasn't
flow grapple
from an injury recently.
My car accident was in 1991 that I got, and I broke 2 vertebrae. And what had happened, I was down I was fixing it. Probably it took me like a good year and a half to fix. But I'm paying for it now because, you know, bone grows back bigger when you heal it, when you break it, and it's crushing my vertebrae. So I'm doing a lot of things like yoga, the Kune Tao stuff, which really I'm heavy into the Kune Tao working out, because that's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Not Tai Chi like, but like, you know, just a little higher impact than Tai Chi. But it's like all the movements that you would do to develop the core, basically, you know. And I'm doing other stuff. I'm training my son, so I mean that's a workout.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, Jesse. You've been able to stay pretty much injury free, right?
For the most part, kinda. I mean, the thing about mixed martial arts and training it is when you're always training, because it's a 24/7 job, but you got to make it a lifestyle. So it's really not the fight where you get injured. It's usually the training that's leading up to it, because you're training so hard. I mean, you're just bound to be micro tearing muscles or any of that, you know what I mean? So that's why I make sure that I have, you know, a lot of things I do to recover after my workout. So I'm not just doing the workout. I'm taking my Epsom salt baths. I'm taking my ice baths. I'm going to get cryotherapy done. You know, I'm icing injuries, whatever. You know, I'm putting Dit Chow, whether it's the Dit Chow, some Chinese medicine or whatever, on injuries. You know what I mean? I'm using it to make sure that I'm 100% on fight day. But nobody really ever is 100% on fight day. There's always little nicks and knacks that you get throughout camp. But my last fight, I'm not sure when it happened, because I was landing some real good elbows, some good strikes from the ground. I hurt my right shoulder somehow. I got a sprained AC joint in my shoulder. At least that's what the doctors are telling me what's wrong. But I just been healing that right now. But I'm kind of looking at it as like a blessing in disguise, though, because I've been really getting a lot stronger with my legs. My left hand is getting a lot more snappy. So I've been really getting better in other areas. I'm always trying to train what I could, you know what I mean? So my footwork's getting faster. Everything's getting better, but it's also without using my right arm, though, it's frustrating because I'm limited, you know what I mean? I can't do what I want to do. I want to spar, I want to grapple, but right now I gotta, you know, I gotta stay outside.
Yeah, I watch him like a hawk when it comes to injuries too.
Sit on the bench.
Because what happens, I was old school. I would go out there, hop on one leg, put my crutches up against the wall, and train.
Right.
I will not allow that. You know what I mean? It's like, in fact, I do that with just not because he's my son, just because I learned from what I did that was, to me, stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, I went and I did a fight when I was a month and a half before I had a knee replacement with Chuck Liddell. I don't know if you knew that. And it's like, the doctor said, if you go, you could be crippled for life. And I'm like, I want to fight, though. I'm 40 years old. I want to do it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think now you're at the period that we call wisdom, Ron.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Before I thought warrior, straightforward, and that's it.
Yeah.
You still could think warrior, but warriors have common sense also.
Back to the website. Filipino Kali Eskrima Arnis. Background and
Okay. When I was in Kuntao, my teacher Joe Rossi knew Remy Prezes, right? And what had happened is he introduced me to Remy because he was in the area doing a seminar. I guess they were in touch. He called them, said yes. He said bring him up. So we went up there. There was two of us that went up there.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened is I got my introduction to the stick work. Remy is limited by what we do now, but it's good. It was good introduction, I thought.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of stuff to it. Then I met, I'm not sure, oh God, I can't think of his name. The guys that were in Long Island, they were holding Guru Dan, I think it was like 1987 or 88, I think it was. Then Princeton Academy, they were holding him.
That was
and so, say, excuse me?
Princeton, that was New Jersey.
Yes, he was in New Jersey, and the guys in Long Island, I can't think of their names. That were there. One of them ended up in jail, Mike Hands. I don't know if you remember him, and another guy, and I can't remember their names for some reason. But I started off there. I remember the gym was really like all beat up and everything we went into, but I remember seeing Guru Dan back then, and then they held Larry Hartzell, and they started holding Master Chai, and I think later in the 90s, you know, we Herman Sawanda and a lot of others, Francis Fong, things like that. So I started starting in the 80s with them to the seminars, and then I started traveling to their school, you know, after that, and learning more about Jeet Kune Do. From there, I just started learning from other people. Mid 90s, you know, I met the other guys when Linda Lee had that gathering. I think it was 97 or something like that. Yeah. She had the gathering, you know. I went to that. I was representing Sifu Larry. And so then I got to know some of the guys, and I started training more with some of the other ones. I was training with Richard Bastillo too. I think Ray Longo was holding Richard Bastillo at the time, and I saw Richard about 6 times. I didn't stick with him, but I'm still, you know, he was good. Okay. And I just went on. I mean, that's basically the story. I just wanted to see, you know, I'm not I don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, but I just wanted to get deep into Jeet Kune Do and see what these other opinions are, you know, basically, you know.
Did you train
you gotta learn from everyone?
Did you train with Edgar Sulite at any time?
No, I didn't. I never even heard of him, actually. No. Is he one of the original students?
No. I was just saying because we're on the Kali section of your website. I was just wondering if you trained Lameko Eskrima with Punang.
Oh, I went in. I veered off into. I'm sorry. I trained. I veered off into Jeet Kune Do, back to Jeet Kune Do.
That's
okay. The Kali. I'm sorry.
Understandable, Ron. That's quite.
Yes. Okay. All right. Guru Dan, of course, Larry and Paul Vunak, you know, again with the Kali as well. Mm-hmm. But I also trained with, Edgar Salite quite a bit.
Okay.
Larry was very close with him, as, you know, you probably know.
Yes.
And so I got to train with him, you know, with Larry up in California, here, and a lot of seminars at the time. Guru, Punong Guru Edgar was, like, to me, something that was amazing, you know, and he had a great personality. We got along well, you know. As far as my Kali goes, and then of course I gotta mention Leo Gahe. Leo Gahe, to me, he may be crazy, he may be a lot of things, but I'll tell you, the man is unbelievable. He's a genius at Pakiti Terja Kali.
That dude once told me to stab a little kid in the ear for bullying me. I swear. Wow. He told me, he's like, stab him right in the ear. I said, wow.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. He goes, you don't do that grappling stuff. He goes, you take the pen and you stick it in his eye. You take your notebook and stick it in his throat. Later on, I got a hold of him and I go like this, you know, that's a different culture, right? And he goes, right. Oh, Dad, I understand. He goes,
okay. All right. Back to the website. Wing Chun.
Wing Chun, I don't teach the Wing Chun. We have 2 Wing Chun instructors down there.
Shout out Andy.
Yes, and
Shout out Mike.
Andy Di Giuseppe and Mike Scarmazino. Those are the 2 instructors at my school. I'm still learning from them, actually, as far as that goes. But they're my students in Kun Tao, Jeet Kune Do, grappling, things like that. Also,
What's their lineage in Wing Chun?
theirs is Chong Kwak Chow. For the most part, although Andy bops around a little bit, I think Mike does too.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure they went to see Francis Fong at Luigi's place in Queens.
Okay.
And now they see another view, so they're very open-minded instructors. I trained Wing Chun for about 9 years back in the 80s. I remember I first went to Georgia to visit a friend, and I stayed with him for like 2 weeks, and I saw Francis Fong's school down there. So I said, I'm going to go there. So every morning I used to go to his morning classes and then spend the rest of the day with my friends.
Right.
And then he had Kevin Seaman held him up in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 1989, if I'm not mistaken. I could be getting mixed up
Kevin
around with
at the Leo.
Yes. Kevin, I love Kevin. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's the best.
He was bringing them guys up there, and Francis actually remembered me, unless he was just humoring me. I don't know, but he remembered me from the earlier 80s.
Uh-huh.
And I was training under Philip Holder in Wing Chun for a long time, and Mike, and I can't think of his last name. I'm bad on names. That was another guy that I was training with. And then I just when I got into Jeet Kune Do, I quit Wing Chun more or less, and now I just learn it for the extra. That's all. You know.
So when it comes then to the curriculum at Practical Self-Defense, because some people are going to hear that description that you just gave us, and they'll be like, how do they stop from being so confused?
Yes, I hear that all the time. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So what's your remedy for not being confused with all that material?
Okay. Well, when I teach my Kun Tao class, I teach straight up Kun Tao. When I teach my my Kali class, I teach straight up Kun Tao. Kali. However, once in a while, I'll fall into Dumag, and then sometimes when I do Dumag, I fall into Kun Tao because there's a lot of similarities,
Right.
Just when I'm teaching, I go, oh, I'm sorry, this is the way you do it in Kun Tao or whatever, See?
Yeah, he'll teach me sometimes, and we're working Jeet Kune Do, and then all of a sudden he's falling into some Kun Tao technique, and I'm on the floor. I
don't know. When I teach Jeet Kune Do, I used to blend. Back in the old days, I used to blend everything. I think we all did back in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I found that everybody's coming to my conclusion. So I said, you know what? I'm going to separate the systems. If people want to learn more than one system and blend or whatever, I feel they should take more than one class instead of like learning everything what I come up with. Because again, that's what I do, you know what I mean? But I can't see we have a couple of small students. I can't see them doing the same thing, that I do, you know what I mean? Or whatever the size, Okay. So I separate the classes now. I don't get confused. Now, would I fall into in a fight if I were to get into something?
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like as long as it works, you know?
What about the kids' classes? How do you structure that?
The kids' classes, we have Fabio Rivera. He teaches. In fact, he's here with me now. He teaches the children's classes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, straight up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm an influence on Fabio and my grappling method, so he throws in a few things for the kids too, and some of the training methods. So. Pretty much, I feel that's a safe self-defense for kids. And of course they like to do the tournaments. To me, if a child takes somebody down and they hold them in cross body, say for example, I feel that's safer than, kicking him in the groin, breaking his leg, grabbing him by the throat and headbutting him. You know what I mean? I just, while that's cool and parents want their kids to know that, I don't think in this day and age, kids should be doing that so much, and I definitely won't teach Kun Tao or Kali, to the kids,
Okay, the last one on the website is the PRT fitness.
Yeah, that was the fitness program I was telling you about for me to get in shape for all my fights. Shout out Rob
Beeman.
Yeah, Rob Beeman. His conditioning program over there is, I mean, it's second to none, man. I mean, we're reaching new levels in fitness over there, you know, with, you know, working our whole body out. You know what I mean? He focuses a lot, especially on legs and core, because legs and core, those are the two most important things, in my opinion, for martial arts, because you need a strong core, you need a strong base. Your legs make up for like 60% of your punching power alone. So that being said, you need to have strong legs, you need a strong core.
Right.
And we do a lot of cardio. Everything that we do, everything in fighting, if you think about it, is, especially in the sport aspect, it's a lot of cardio. So you got to make sure that your gas tank is going to be up to par for when you compete. So I would usually work with Rob about, I would say, at least I do condition with him at least 3 days a week, you know, because I got to have time to work, you know, whether it's my Muay Thai or my Jeet Kune Do with him, or I have a grappling session, I got my sparring session. So I also go on, I do running and stuff like that too, to make sure that I'm conditioned as well. I do like usually like one long run a week, maybe, you know, anywhere's I've done as much as up to like 9 miles, like 6 to 9 miles. But other times I'm doing like sprinting, where I'm just getting the short burst intensity. So like I'll do like 20 seconds, I sprint up a hill, and then for 10 seconds I rest. 20 seconds, sprint up a hill, 10 seconds rest. So
You
stuff
make
like
me
that,
feel
where
like
you're
a loser.
Yeah.
As you can see, though, he's
work,
getting
dude.
the old ways from me, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
The guy, Rob Beeman, what he does is he just graduated college. Well, not just, a couple of years ago, graduated college, and he's a big, deep researcher.
Yeah, he researches a lot.
And he's been with me for a long time, so he puts the modern touch to these things. Yeah. I'm into the kettlebells, the Indian Gata, the Indian clubs, a lot of the, like I said, the Kune methods of training, and just old school ways. He takes it to modern levels with modern equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's always got top-notch new stuff that's on the market that's necessary. You know,
so Jesse's getting both, and I feel that's working him nice.
What's the PRT and PRT fitness stand for?
Oh,
I don't even know what that means.
I forget. He doesn't really mention it too often. In fact, he doesn't even have it on his cards. I forget.
Yeah, because it's his thing, and I'm not even sure what it means. You know.
All right, I got a.
I'm not sure, man. I'm really not.
I got a question for you. I got this. I was asked this like 30 minutes before we came onto the show. What is the best self-defense weapon to keep at your bedside?
The best self-defense weapon. A shotgun and a sword or a knife, I feel, are the best to have right there. And I mean, in my house, I mean, well, you could be in the bathroom and be able to reach for a weapon.
You could be anywhere.
I come from the city. I don't trust anybody. Right now, I live on a lake in the country, a half hour from any city. Okay. You know, we're an hour from New York City. I like the way what I'm doing right now, but guess where they're going to do crime? They're not going to do it in the cities. They're going to come out here. Yeah. You know, so I trust. We have a Dogo I just got. It's another a breed of dog, and his name is Bolo. And you know, he's going to be 105 to 115 pounds, a monster. He's a puppy right now.
Wow.
And so this is I like protection, and I'm going to be away with Jesse. I'm assuming here and there for a week, probably about 4 times a year. Right. I don't want to leave my wife alone here without this kind of protection, you know.
So you mentioned Bolo. So tell me a little bit about the what's the website? Is it FMAweapons.com?
Oh no, that's traditionalfilipinoweapons.com is the weapons page. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, I mean, that's where, tell me a little bit about that. How did you, that's the stuff that you got out of Mindanao? Is that it? Is that how that?
It's actually in Luzon. We sell a lot of the Mindanao blades, but we're selling them blades from a lot of different islands, a lot of different cultures. Mm-hmm. I went around the Philippines with some friends that I know out there, and I wanted weapons. It's like 2000, 2001, I can't remember. And what had happened is I found some weapons, but they're made of the spring steel. And they're not the best looking. They're not the best, not really nice, but they were weapons, and I was satisfied with getting swords. My
Okay.
second trip there, I met a guy who actually made the karambit, and he also made a ganunting because he heard about what's going on with the ganunting and everything like that. He didn't make it correctly yet, but he made it. But I thought it was so strong, it was so beautiful. At the time, it was just 5160. That was the steel
Yeah.
quality, and over the years, what had happened is, let me finish that story. When he made me a box of karambits, and we went into business on a handshake.
Wow.
On a Filipino guy I didn't even know, and probably gave me like about $3,000 worth of karambits.
Wow.
Right? That's what I ended up selling, and I ended up. We were talking, and we wanted to make a lot. I said, if you do this, I said, I know I could do something with this business, because his family was been making blades, basically for, if you want to call it the tribe, back in the old days was First Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And then for, here and there for other people. But it wasn't a big business. And I said, I could do something with this.
Yeah.
And I did. You want to know something? I sold out of those karambits within 2 weeks.
Wow.
I'm in the FMA world. I've been traveling for all these years. And I mean, in 2 weeks, I sold them and send him back money now to make. We started off with one type of Chris. I got to think about this. The Campilan, the Ganunting, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what the other. Oh, Panute.
Mm-hmm.
And a few others. I can't remember them all. We started off with just those.
Yeah.
And and they went fast. I couldn't believe how fast they were going.
I mean, and this is a full-time
I kept.
traditional Filipino martial arts is a full-time business for you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I run the weapons and the school all day long, and I'm more than busy. I probably put in a good 16 hours a day between training my son,
Right.
Running the school, doing private lessons, which I dropped a lot of them. I gave them all to my son for the most part, but he doesn't do Filipino martial arts, so I do the private lessons on that.
Grappling, the Jeet Kune.
Yeah, so.
Teach a lot of that.
And I do an occasional workshop for my long distance students that still want to learn. So I do occasional workshops. I hold a Kune camp, which is coming up the 21st of July, and I get a lot of my long distance students to go to those because those people want to pursue Kune. Yeah. And basically it's full time. It runs me rampant actually.
Oh yeah.
My wife actually is the one that got me to see what the other side of life is, which is fun,
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that martial arts is not fun, but I do need to have fun and do things. I'm kind of a square person, in a roundabout way.
Yeah,
But
okay. So you mentioned workshops, right? So I was looking at a video. It says it's from January of this year.
Yeah.
So in the background behind you, there's the PSDT banner.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Bruce Lee, and then there's a series of white charts.
White sharks?
Yeah, charts, like posters.
Shorts. Oh yes. Those are, one of those is the subsystem of Kune.
Okay.
And the others are from the PRT Fitness.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has a routine that he keeps changing, which is good. Yeah. And that's mostly for everybody, but mostly for the people that are, want to do the tournaments, and, Jesse, who's doing the MMA fighting.
The thing about Rob's program, which is unique, is he's always changing the routine too. You know what I mean? We're not just doing like some days we're working, traditional weightlifting, but other days we're working kettlebells, a whole kettlebell workout. Other days it's a whole mace ball workout. Some days we're doing resistance bands, you know what I mean? So he's always switching up. Sometimes it's a mixture of everything all in one, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just one exercise. It really depends, he's always changing it.
Is that a class just for fighters, or do you have civilians in that class?
Civilians too. Yeah, he has clients that he works with that some that are just older that just want to like stay in shape, be able to move around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But he works the fighters privately. You know what I mean?
well,
Okay.
you got Tom in the Quintal class. Tom's a beast.
Oh yeah,
Tom's
that's
been
right.
doing PRT. Dude, Tom's PRT fit. I don't care what anybody
This
says.
guy's
Okay.
he's in his late 50s.
He's PRT fit.
And he's purple belt in my Quintal. And I'll tell you what, this guy is in shape.
That dude will eat anybody's grandfather.
Yeah. Oh God. Like a CIA hitman, I call him. You know.
Jesse.
Somebody's father.
Yeah. Jesse, let me ask you a question.
What's going on?
My impression of your dad is that he's a very opinionated person. That he's got really strong views on the things that matter to him.
Yup.
Right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Okay. All right. So, Ron, let me ask you this. Let's delve into some of the old Jeet Kune Do controversies, right? So, your opinion on the original versus concepts argument.
Okay. Like, say, for example, like Paul Vunak, he's probably the biggest controversial figure out there. Okay. Yeah. But he gives credit where credit's due, just like Guru Dan did. He'll say, okay, we're going to make a Jeet Kune Do entry. We're going to go with the straight blast, and then we're going to do a Kali elbow destruction, and then we're going to do a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu takedown to the mountain armbar. He gives credit. So really, I don't see what the controversy is, and that's his system.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Krav Maga. Nobody says anything about Krav Maga, and I'm not a fan of Krav Maga at all, really. Yeah. But but what's the difference? I mean, everybody seems to go for it, and that's a blend of stuff. But if Vunak or Hartzell or somebody, or remember how Guru Dan had to put up with a lot of crap at one time. Yeah. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? It's like, well, nobody says anything about that, but they've got to, jump down Guru Dan's throat. So I kind of like, I don't understand it. I used to give 2 certificates out because I used to blend. I don't do that anymore. So if somebody got certified, there's only 5 people that got those certificates from me. They got Jeet Kune Do concepts, and they got Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do certificates. Okay. I don't do that anymore because, like I said, I teach it straightforward now on what Jeet Kune Do is. I'll slip some stuff in here and there to show that you can, because I can. So that's about it. I mean, really, I feel if you made a system and you want to call it Jeet Kune Do concepts, that's fine. Yeah. But, if you're teaching Jun Fan or Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do or just Jeet Kune Do, whatever you want to call it, I feel that's fine too, because, no matter what era Bruce Lee was doing, I feel it all works to me. I know he changed, but I like it all. Yeah.
It's all very practical.
Luckily, we're under, Tuhan Guru Dan, who saw all the different eras, and we got the benefits of seeing these different eras of time. I think that benefits all of us, that are under him, big time. And it's kind of historical, if you ask me,
What's your view on the question of whether or not there's a need for trapping and grappling skills?
Well, I'll tell you what, to start with the trapping, if there's a place for it, a lot of people, they'll we meet hands, right? And they go away. He blocks one of my punches, they move away, and they go out there. That's what they do in the UFC pretty much, right? Yeah. I feel, in fact, I'm drilling that in him. As soon as you touch, bang, go in there and do, he likes the Jik Chun, the Jik Chun Choi, straight blast. He likes that. So go into it if it's there. You know what I mean? I feel there's nothing wrong with that. So, I don't see what the controversy is, because it's there. However, there's a time and a place for it. You can't use it if the guy's like this, he's fighting with his arms, I'm wide like this. Right. Well, hey,
I noticed
pick them off.
What I noticed with a lot of the game, a lot of the fighting, even, you got some of the best Muay Thai fighters in the world that are quote unquote the best strikers. A lot of them, they end up fighting like very, very wide like this. They're wide swingers, you know what I mean? And just like simple, like direct down the pipe jab. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
that shuts that right down.
Yeah,
So
the straight lead. Yeah,
a lot of stuff. It's very simple. You know, what I mean, fighting should be very simplistic. You know, like people, like they're into like these big like wide techniques. You know, where they're doing like spinning back elbows, spinning back kicks. But usually, what works is the basics, the direct fundamentals. So I think, you know,
as far as the grappling goes, okay. Here's the thing: mainstream grappling is a sport. Okay, the way we see it with not so much with Larry. Larry would rip limbs off. But I mean, all of them do, yes. Okay, but a lot of it with the gi and all that is sport. However, in a one-on-one situation, you could, you know, it's good. Now, I say, I call it, it's a way to fight without getting arrested, or at least go to mediation. You know,
unless you tear somebody's shoulder out, though.
Yes, I mean,
yes. What you're doing.
But if you hold somebody down and kiss a katami, I mean, you know, hey, you know, usually you can hold down the average person. He'll flop around like a fish until he gives in.
I just saw Matt Serra. The night before he was going to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, there was a guy who was drunk at a bar, and he swung at him, and he literally took him down and held him in mount until the cops came. It literally
See what happened. I mean? I mean, there you go.
It literally just happened. He was like telling the guy, he's like, listen, relax. And the dude's on the ground saying, I'm going to fucking kill you. And he was just holding down, and he's like, relax.
Also, here's another thing.
It works, dude.
Every single ancient style had some sort of grappling, not mainstream like we do it now.
Right.
Kung Tao has groundwork.
Right.
All the Silat systems have groundwork. Why do they have it? Because they knew they didn't want to get stuck if they ended up on the ground. All these Kung Fu styles have China, okay? If you learn a proper Kung Fu style.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, why would ancient warriors neglect that area? So to me, if there's a controversy over it, this person does not understand fighting, or he's overly confident in his stand-up. And I'll tell you what, against a grappler, you're done if you don't know grappling.
Yeah.
But by knowing grappling, you could prevent grappling too. See? That's the thing, I feel. Right. Even mainstream grappling, you could prevent it.
Cage fighting shows alone, when you're locked in a closed area, grappling is just bound to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
smaller the cage,
clench, clench, especially if the cage is smaller, the clench is almost forced. There's like sometimes there's no striking at all. You know what I mean? A lot of times people go straight for the takedown. So grappling, I feel, is very, very crucial. You know what I mean, to your game. If you don't have a good ground game, you're not gonna. I don't know. You're not a very well-versed martial artist, in my opinion. You know, you're leaving a big aspect of the game out. I mean, you need to know how to do everything, though. The same goes for those people who are like, oh, jiu-jitsu, that's the answer. You know what I mean? That's the only answer. It's like, no, you're wrong. Yeah. If you don't know how to properly defend yourself on the feet, how are you even going to get to the ground, period?
Exactly. You know? You're not going to go up there and grab them. People fight back.
Boxer shut that takedown right down as soon as he lands an uppercut or something. As soon as he comes in, I mean, that'll shut it right down.
All right. So now, Jesse, how do you keep the grappling simple?
How do you keep the grappling simple? Really, what it boils down to is the training. You know what I mean? You train something so many times where it becomes second nature, where you don't even have to think about it. Because if you're in a situation where you're just thinking, you're not reacting. Yeah. That's a dangerous scenario. You know what I mean? You're not relaxed. You need to be poised. You need to be just completely relaxed and just depend on what you train to do. If you're trained to do something, then it should just come to you. You shouldn't even have to think about it. You just do it. You know, that's really what it boils down to.
Reflex development is something that I'm very big on.
Okay.
You know, and not just learning a technique or a drill. I'm very big on reflex development, and that's what Kung Tao consists of. That's what it does. Yeah. You know, so that's what I adapt that again to all my styles.
And to make the technique simple, you know, you gotta have good technique. Period. You know what I mean, if you're practicing the move wrong, then there you go. You can practice something 10,000 times wrong.
Right. I was going to ask you about that. So take the 10,000 kicks or the one kick 10,000 times quote and apply it to grappling. How would you describe that?
So like if I practice an armbar, you know, and I'm practicing it, I'm not pinning the legs on the head, you know, I'm helping myself down with my arm every time I do it. I'm not grabbing the arm tight, and I practice that, let's say, 1,000,000 times. I'm still going to be horrible at doing arm bars because I'm not practicing right. But if I'm real tight, you know, I stay real controlled. I'm grabbing the arm, I'm pinning the face down, throwing the arm over, and I'm grabbing with the arms and chest out, shoulders back, hip forward. You know, it's not going to, you know, you could once you practice that 10,000 times, you know how to do an arm bar. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden,
you literally did.
All of a sudden, the dude's arms right there, and he's already tapping because you already took his arm. And I'm real big on the grappling. All of my fights I finished by submission, every single one of them, except for my first fight. I had an amateur fight against this dude Rafael Edwards, but Rafael Edwards was also 4-0 at the time, and he had 4 wins by knockout. He was a very, very tough opponent, but I still pretty much dominated with using grappling techniques pretty much all 3 rounds in the fight. So I think grappling, you know, you need to practice it right. At the end of the day, you need to have a good instructor. You know, luckily I'm blessed. You know, I have my dad. He's worked with all grapplers. He's worked with the Gracies, John Pereira judo, and obviously Larry Hartzell is a big part of the game with the catch wrestling. So you know, it's good that we have that background.
So what are your contributions to the book going to be, Jesse?
My contributions to the book?
The Quintal book, you mean, or?
Yeah, the book that you're working.
Oh, okay.
What was?
Well, I am talking about him. In there, I do talk about the training methods that I slip in. Like I said, you know, I'll borrow from one style. Maybe it's not technique, but it's the training method. You know, so I might borrow to, you know, because that's what I'm doing with him. So I'll talk about that, you know, somewhere in there. Because, you know, it's logical. I mean, that's the thing. You got to, in order to develop the reflex, you have to have some sort of reflex development drills besides just fighting. You know, we don't fight all the time, and that's where you get your practice. You know, a Roman warrior practices, practiced. You know, they did all the, you know, they cut through logs. They would fight. They would grapple. They would do all kinds of things on their off peacetime, but they got their real experience in the battle. You know, Muay Thai fighters, as you know, they practice light and they train, but the real battle, they go hard as hell. When they're in the ring.
It depends on the gym though, because
I
know, what's that? There's a gym over in New York.
But those are the people that get injured.
I think it's that Satan gym or whatever. Or there's another one. There's another one that Rob Font trains out of City of Tongue. I think it's City of Tongue, Boston. They go hard. You know what I mean? Like if you're going there to spar, you could almost guarantee that you're going to go in there and you're going to be experiencing some wars, because that's just how some gyms train. You look at the boxing world, like at Mayweather's gym, they actually call it the doghouse. Like if you're going to spar, it's like, all right, you're going into the doghouse and you're going to be in there for maybe like 20, 30 minutes sparring one dude. You know, it's just, I don't know. I guess there's different mentalities on how to train. But I feel the best way to train is in a controlled environment where you're just practicing just your techniques. You save the war for the war. You know what I mean? When you actually need to have that within you. Because if you're training hard in the gym like that, you're actually just breaking your body down. That goes back to when we were talking about the injuries earlier. That's how a lot of people get injured, is the sparring. You know, because they're sparring too hard, you know.
Eric Paulson, he says, he goes, most people get injured a week or two before the fight. And so, you know, he's constantly telling me, keep an eye out for that. You know what I mean? So, and that's the crucial time. So we actually do go easy and focus on a lot of technique and drilling and stuff like that at that time. You know, if you make it two weeks before the fight, I mean, it makes you look stupid if you're injured before, you know, a fight. I know it happens, you know, it's going to happen to everybody, but you know, I mean, we've had some crazy things happen. He got the mumps before a fight one time.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, of all things, he looked like Quagmire.
Like you know? It was weird. That was a freak. That was a freak thing, because I hadn't fought in a long time.
It was a day before a fight.
It was frustrating because I had like 3 things happen in a row too. It was bad. I got injured, and then I got the mumps.
But that's not an injury in training, though. You know, so freak things happen bad enough without getting injured. You know, so that's the thing. So I learned from myself. Like I said, I was an old school animal, but I'm not like that with him. You know what I mean? I'm old school, but I do it more gentle, I guess you might say, smarter, you know, basically.
Wisdom.
You know,
Wisdom.
Yes, like you say, wisdom. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, Ron, I gotta. This just occurred to me. Has anybody ever told you that you remind them of Paul Vunak?
No.
Nobody? No.
Nobody's ever said that. No.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's something there. Really. There's.
I mean, we did have something in common. We both grew up on the street, kind of. So I think maybe that might be it. I am rough around the edges, even though I made it and I didn't look back.
I mean, and
I am rough around the edges still, you know.
Is
maybe,
there?
and he is.
Is
Maybe
there
that's
an
it.
Eastern European connection also? Maybe
Is it what?
Eastern European.
I don't know.
What is Vunak? What
I don't even know what he is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not even sure what he is as.
Yeah, look up Vunak, bro.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the nationality that would be.
Yeah.
He's not Polish or Italian, and that's what I am. So I mean,
Okay.
yeah. One part of me that says forget about it. The other part forgot about it. You know.
Okay. All right. Listen. Okay. So we're gonna start wrapping this thing up. Tell me something that a lot of people get wrong about Jeet Kune Do.
Okay, they blend styles and throw it together and call it Jeet Kune Do. I mean, in the old days, you see that kind of different now. I still see some people doing that. It's not as rampant as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't take Hapkido, Taekwondo, Tang Soo Do, and Shotokan and throw it in there and say you're doing Jeet Kune Do. You have to have that base system. Right. Guru teaches that base system.
Right.
I should be calling Sifu when we're talking about Jeet Kune Do, but he teaches that base system, and if you don't have that, the idea of the strategy, of the timing, the rhythm, like say for example, throwing a jab to a side kick, right? When your jab comes up, the foot should be touching the opponent. You know, that kind of thing. Or when you throw a kick to a punch, say, for example, when your foot hits the ground, your punch should be landing on the target simultaneous. That kind of rhythm. A lot of people don't have that.
Right.
You know, and I see, I don't know, I actually disagree with a lot of people's Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah, a lot of Jeet Kune Do I see it's a lot Wing Chun oriented too.
Either Wing Chun oriented only, or they're doing kickboxing.
That's what I'm saying. They're doing like one or the other instead of having a blend where where you can pick and choose. You know what I mean? Like
I feel we were blessed with the proper teachers. You know,
well, I don't think it's. I think it's that the fact that you worked with so many teachers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
I think too many people have one look instead of multiple looks.
That is another thing too. That a lot of people, when they see, I mean, it comes to swords too. If they saw this particular design sword, everybody else is wrong. If they saw one particular style of Jeet Kune Do, they think everybody's wrong. I had one guy go on online, and I showed when somebody slashes with a knife. So I did a hubud parry into a bicep push, and then I did a takedown. And the guy goes like this. He goes, "You're going to get cut doing that." And I said, "Well, I disagree with it. You know," I said, "I'm doing, this is, this is what they've been doing for, probably 1,000 years, potentially, maybe 400 years, whatever. It still works." And, geez, I mean, I think I got military and police coming to me from various different parts of the world for a reason, because they feel it works. And the guy goes, you can't take criticism, constructive criticism. He goes, "You're never going to make it." I'm like, okay. I think I'm there.
Everybody's an expert and everybody's got an opinion,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What's something that people get right in Jeet Kune Do?
When they do, to me, like I said, if they know the base system, but if they do the timing and rhythm that I'm talking about perfectly, it is, I notice in Bruce Lee's training, even when you watch him teach a sidekick to one of the movie stars there, or something, and I'm looking at it, and the way he lands, like say, for example, the feet, he does a foot replacement, pendulum footwork. The kick lands when the foot lands,
Yeah.
I don't see that a lot. I see this. Not this. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The
You mean when one foot walks past the other and
No. They do it in 2 counts rather than 1.
I know what you mean.
Maybe I could explain it better
No,
that way.
One beat instead of half beat.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that a lot of people, I see that because they're also learning the tech.
Man, we were going really well. But this is a sign that it's time for us to wrap this up. So if Ron comes back on, we'll go ahead and do just that. If not, I'll say goodbye to you guys and gals who tuned in. Let me see if I can bring them back on for a second here. There's Jesse. Yeah. Okay, so right here at the end, technology crapped out. So guys and gals, as I said, I'd really like to bring him back on just to wrap up officially. All right, give me 2 more seconds. Nope, he's not there. Okay. All right, so okay, I can't get Jesse and Ron, but so I'll wrap this up myself. I don't know about you guys who were here for the show. I had a fantastic time. This is episode number 9 of the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. I mean, everything's been different, but I really enjoyed hanging out with those two guys. A wealth of knowledge, wealth of personality and opinion and what have you. Unfortunately, at the end, technology failed us and I couldn't wrap up with them officially. But that's it. That's episode number 9 of the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. Be sure to keep your eye on Facebook and Instagram for notifications from me. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. You guys, thanks for joining in, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time around. Take care.